Thank you, Elizabeth. And as I understand, at the end of the lunch, as you walk up out of the exit, they'll be out there, be able to pass out more information about the Children's Art Academy and also talk about how a donation today would be able to take home your centerpiece as well. Thank you. Now it's a pleasure as we welcome Stephen Brown, who is the Managing Director and Senior Vice President of Stockyards Bank and Trust, Greater Cincinnati Market. Please welcome Stephen Brown.
On behalf of Stockyards Bank and Trust, I want to thank Eric and his staff at Cincy Magazine for allowing us to be part of this prestigious event. Stockyards Bank is excited to be part of Cincy Magazine's 2011 ATHENA Awards. This is the 6th year for this wonderful event that highlights and recognizes outstanding women in our community. We have several outstanding women working at the bank that share many of the traits these nominees exhibit, such as successful professional careers and a willingness and generosity to give back to the community. In fact, nearly half of our calling officers in the Greater Cincinnati market are women, so we appreciate the opportunity to honor all the worthy nominees this year. Since our entry into this market in 2007, we have focused on providing quality customer service, competitive products and services, and a community bank approach to banking and investing. We develop relationships by getting to know our centers of influence, our prospects, and our clients. We consider this banking the way it used to be. We are growing and developing a community bank in the Greater Cincinnati region by hiring talented and successful bankers and investment professionals, and by opening new locations where we can add value. At this time, I would like to introduce to you our keynote speaker, Aaron Hoflinger, president of Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield in Ohio. After graduating with a communications degree from Wright State University, Aaron began a career in television news at Dayton's WHIO-TV, but soon realized that was not going to be her path in life. She earned an MBA from Xavier University and took a position as an information technology analyst with Anthem's prescription management division. Feeling fortunate to work for a company that regularly promotes women, Aaron advanced to several leadership positions and in 1995 was named president of Anthem of Maine. In 2008, she returned to Ohio as head of the state's largest health benefits company. Through her 20-year career in health insurance, Aaron says keeping a balance between job, family, and service work has been her key to success. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to our keynote speaker, Aaron Hoflinger.
Thank you, Stephen, and thank you, Eric. The apple box has to go from me, Cherie. I'm a little too tall for the group, and you heard earlier that I wanted to be Cherie when I was younger, and it was very, very nice of you, by the way, Stephen, to say that I had a career. I started my career at WHIO-TV, yeah, overnight and weekends for people who aren't good at what they do. That was me. And you know, you study your whole life, or no, a whole life, what feels like your whole life, for your undergraduate to be in broadcast journalism and then to really suck at it is so bad. I'm telling you. But thank you, and I so much appreciate what you do every day. Thank you for being here. When I show up to speak at events, Cherie is almost always there. And so when we talk about giving back and women with the ATHENA Awards, it really is amazing to see you and spending time at all of these. So thank you so much for what you do for women. And there's nothing more stressful than being in a room of women to talk about wonderful, incredible women because, you know, A, they're going to be dressed better than you are. Always. And let me just say, how about a round of applause for the men who came here today to celebrate incredible women? And so the big question, I'm here to speak about women in leadership, and so the big question that we ask ourselves is, does gender matter in leadership? And Bella Abzug, a lawyer, congresswoman, and leader of the women's movement, once said, the test for whether or not you can hold a job should not be the arrangement of your chromosomes. But a study in 2005 by Caliper showed that there are differences in the way women lead. And men, you should know right now, this is a little bit leaning towards just women. So this is a generalization overall. First, women leaders are more persuasive than their male counterparts. Second, when feeling the sting of rejection, women leaders learn from adversity and carry on with an I'll show you attitude. We get that from working with the kids. Also, women leaders demonstrate an inclusive team-building leadership style of problem-solving and decision-making. And finally, women leaders are more likely to ignore the rules and take risks. But despite a great deal of progress, we know that women occupy just 40% of the managerial positions in the United States. They also only make up 15% of all board seats, 6% of all top executives, and only 2% of all CEOs in our nation's largest companies. Our company does a little better than that. Women make up more than 1/3 of our board of directors, 77% of our associates, 58% of our managers, and as Angela Brawley, our CEO of WellPoint, likes to say, 100% of our CEO. And I'm lucky to work for a company like that. Other women are lucky as well. And so you have to ask yourselves, when you come here today to say, they asked me to come and say I was a woman who broke through the glass ceiling, who was able to be successful, and having, the assumption is you've made it. But as most of you know, and I'm going to be candid with you, I never feel like I've made it, right? That there are ongoing challenges. It feels like there's this chessboard you're always holding up and balancing on a spinning wheel, trying very hard to stop things from falling over, right? So looking around the room, I asked myself, how many of you think you've been successful in your lives, that you've made it? And are you women who've shattered the glass ceiling and know the value of giving back? So let's see where we stand, and I mean literally, let's see where we stand. I'd like all of you to stand up. I'm highly into participation. I know you're looking for a reason to get away from that dessert. Come on. You can do it. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. Men, you're in this as well. To see where we are in our quest for women to have it all. And let me just say to you, women and men who have it all overall, and remember you said that you're honest people. The first question is going to test you if you're at a table with your friends from work. First question is, and feel free to sit down later if you feel uncomfortable answering it now, are you in the job you love? If you are not, sit down. And if you're with people from work, I understand if you don't do that right now. Sit down during one of the other questions, all right? Do you make a difference in the community? Do you give back enough when you can, or do you think you could do more? If you think you could do more, sit down. Okay, a little too much agreement there, huh? Now, do you mentor another woman? Do you stay there and do you mentor another woman who wants to get to the next level? If you do not, sit down. Are you a role model for others? Are you someone who acts with integrity, strength, and independence? If you're not, sit down. That's a hard one to sit down on, huh? All right, I only have a group in the back. You're all kind of covered? All right, so I have a little bit of a spoiler question that I lose a lot of women on as my final question, all right? Do you make enough time for yourself? Just you. To be alone? Do you work out, exercise 3 to 5 hours a week? All right, round of applause for those few people. And so obviously, and you can all sit now. Thank you so much. But it's so easy to see how hard it is to be everything to everybody and really to have it all. And women are so hard on themselves, and men included. I think I saw you guys sit down as soon as you could as we were talking. So thank you. And the fact is that women's lives today are so complex. The career of a working mom could be more like a maze than a straight line. The maze that led me to where I am in my career, and Stephen talked about this earlier, is I started out in broadcast journalism. It took me about 2 minutes to figure out that wasn't going to work. And then I moved over. I had always loved IT, information technology, which is not something you hear people say a lot, right? So I started working in a job I loved. Now, this job includes me crawling under people's desks to fix their computers, doing things like that. And it doesn't sound like fun, but it was so interesting to me. And such a learning that you have to do what you love to get up and move somewhere else. And so from IT, I moved to operations because I wanted to know why the systems were running, what made them work. And then I wanted to understand what happened in healthcare management, how we were moving things forward, and I started working there. And then I wanted to know how to sell it, and I thought those salespeople were kind of crazy. For you, those of you in sales, people in operations think that you just sell things we can't make. So just so you know, that's how it works out. And so I went over to sales, and that's really where the rubber hits the road, right? Where you figure out all those things you do internally and whether or not they work. And so being in those and being interested in getting through it, the maze of our lives really gets us to the next level. And I feel like if you can follow what you love, that's the way to do it. And it led me to running one of the largest companies in Maine, and then I had the opportunity to come back to my family here in Ohio and run the largest health insurer in Ohio. So that's really fabulous. Now, did I do that because I'm just smart and great? No. I did that because I have incredible people who believed in me. And one of the things that I talked about earlier is having a mentor. I would not be anywhere in my career if I had not had an incredible mentor. And so remember that as you think about giving back. I had a woman who took the time to advise me, who believed in me way before I did, and pushed me to be better than I could ever be. And I think we as women need to make sure we're doing that for others, because I mentioned earlier those statistics. Moving up inside of companies, making sure that we can do that for other women. We don't spend a lot of time doing it, right? We have a lot going on with families and the rest, but leading by example is so important. And finding a way in your companies to focus on policies and improvements and things that can really take us to the next level. Giving back. If you feel like you're in a place where you can start to give back, do that, and do it soon. And teach them the basics of being a great leader. Communication's key. Being a good listener, getting out there, talking to people. I always say if you haven't communicated it 7 times to everybody and in different forms, then you haven't really been able to communicate it out, because people hear differently. People aren't sure that you meant it if you said it in one way first. So one of the adages I live by is the higher up you get in the organization, the lower you are on the food chain of communication, because people don't want to tell you things, right? They want to say, oh, it's fine, everything's good. Never believe that. People down on the ground, go talk to them. So the second point, and you've heard this before, keep good people around you, people who are smarter than you and know what they're doing, mentor them, grow them, and teach people when you're mentoring them how important that is. Don't be impacted by somebody who's smarter than you. Be smart enough to have them around you so that you can grow. And finally, one of the other reasons women are being honored here today is being a leader in community service. So hard to fit in. I saw a lot of us sit down when we said that, are we really giving back the way we could? And I would have sat down on that one too, because it's so hard to fit it in with everything else. So do what you can. Don't be as hard on yourself as you were here today. But remember, people watch what you do, not what you say. And so if we say, community service is important and being a leader is important, they're going to watch and see if that's what you do. And so, one of the ways I do it with my kids, right? We get up in the morning. They hate that, but they're smart when they get there. And we get as many as we can. Get up early on a Saturday, help out, whether it's the March for Babies or any of those other things. Get out there and do it. And if you do it with your family, it's a twofer. Remember that, it's a twofer.